A lot of people like to get one with a nice long neck because this is the money. A long neck and a short bottom. You're sitting at the coffee table having coffee and someone comes over struggling with cutting a pumpkin. Hello everybody, it's Bill from The Walks of Life and we're getting close to Thanksgiving. It's important to know how to quickly and easily process your pumpkin, butternut squash, or anything in this family. Let me show you how to do it. These whole pumpkins, they are kind of awkward. They're hard to cut and they got somewhat thick skin. First thing you do is cut the top off and get this little stem off. Make it easier to work with. Cut it in half, use the spoon, scoop out all that fiber and the seeds and everything, which you don't want. And there's this little nub here. I usually just do this. Cut the wedge. We're using a cleaver today, but you can actually use a chef's knife. So now that you got this pumpkin, half pumpkin, kabocha squash in this case, stable on the cutting board, you're gonna start shaving it off. Start at the top, and you just, and look at this. You get a little bit of orange flesh, but it's okay. And then you repeat. I'm putting it at a little bit of angle. I'm just starting below the surface of the green, and I'm trying to keep it parallel. It takes a little bit of practice. The pumpkin is a little brittle. You can hear how thick it is, so you'd have a really hard time if you were trying to use a peeler. Now we do a little trimming. Trim the bottom until you get no more hard skin, and there you go. Here is the processed kabocha squash. When you buy it whole like this and process it at home, definitely order of magnitude cheaper than if you were to buy a nice packaged plastic tub. So now we've just showed you how to prep a regular pumpkin. I'm going to show you how to do this odd-shaped butternut squash. This top part is solid and the seeds are in this little pocket at the bottom, at the fat part. So it's better to deal with them separately, and also you don't have to deal with this curve. Take the top off, then I'll cut it where it starts getting fat over here in half. There's a little piece here that's a little spongy. Generally don't want to eat this because this is a little sinewy, but you can take care of that later. It's a stable piece right here. Position your knife like we did before with the other pumpkin, and you just keep going around, and you try to hug it as much as possible so you minimize the waste, because you can go and trim later. But you see how thick these pieces are. This is about, an 1/8 of an inch thick. So a regular peeler, you don't have the room to do that. Follow the contour of your butternut squash. Okay, so now you've got it peeled, and then you're gonna trim off these ridges. This is hard. You don't want the hard part. You can do this with a paring knife as well if you're more comfortable with that. Okay, and then now I cut this in half. And look, you've got solid flesh here. That little spongy part I was talking about earlier is just a tiny little piece. It's insignificant. I'm just gonna leave it. I'm gonna clear the board and process the bottom half now. I'm gonna do this bottom. Make sure you cut it flat as possible. Now you've got a stand here. In this one, we have to actually shell it out. So you could do one or two things. You could actually cut this off in half, take out the middle, or you can peel it and then cut it in half and take out the middle. I find that it's a little bit easier to deal with it like this. It's like an intermediate knife skill thing, but practice makes perfect, right? You see you've got a nice stable bottom here, so it's really not going anywhere. If you don't have any, it's gonna move, right? So you do have to have a little bit of downward pressure, press it against the board, and I'm following the contour. So as I go down like this, if you just keep going like that, you're gonna miss it. We're gonna cut it, and then you're gonna turn your wrist and go down. Cut it down, turn, and of course, as always, by the time you start getting the hang of it, you're done. All the portions on the bottom that I missed, I'll put it on here. I got a little bit of a flat spot. I'll just do this, I'll peel it. Or you can use a paring knife. This is the nice thing about the cleaver. It's our compost pile. And now we have to clear out the insides. So I'll just take it right in the middle. I'll just tap with the butt of my hand a little bit. And look, this is the composition of a butternut squash, just like that. You've got the solid flesh on top, and then you've got all the seeded bottom, and you can see this is the most valuable part here. You can just take this spoon, you want to grip it at the bottom like this, and then you just kind of scoop. Sort of turn your butternut squash, pop it out, and there you go. Now you got to clean up the rest of it.
That's why when I buy butternut squash, I look for squashes that have a really long neck, because then you get all solid flesh. And if I can find one that has like a really long neck and then a smaller bulbous part,
that's
then
a great
I have less
tip
to deal with.
This we got from the garden here, so we didn't have a choice. So now, if I cut it, look at this. It tapers off at the bottom. So this is actually quite thin. down here. And there's still some green over here. So you have to be careful about this greenness because this greenness sometimes is not that soft. Clear the board off for a moment. Right here is gonna be our next year's butternut squash probably. We throw it into the compost, we let it go. A couple of those seeds will actually survive and grow in the compost for next year.
So what varieties of pumpkin do we have in the garden this year?
Amazing in the garden because we have our big compost pile and we plant some from seed. Inevitably, we have pumpkins growing in random places because of our compost pile. Things that we've never planted. Like for example, Kaitlin bought this Turk's turban squash last year. We didn't plant this, it just ended up and we're like, hey, let's see what grows out of this. And we got Turk's turban. We also have green pumpkin, which are speckled hounds. Olive green pumpkin, very big. It has these huge ridges, delicious pumpkin. A little bit starchy and very good for baking. Baking meaning roasting and eating in the salad. We also have small ridged pumpkins, which I found out were Japanese black futsu pumpkins. And they are also starchy and have like a chestnut flavor to them. Very delicious. This is the first time we saw this in Beijing. These large butternut squashes called Butternut Rogue Violina Viola. It's an Italian variety. And if you elongate this a little bit, make this a little bit orange, it has a little bit of stripes, except that the Italian variety has a lot of bumps on them. And this one is smooth, it doesn't have a lot of bumps on them. I don't know what variety we have, but it's very delicious. We have, of course, the standard butternut squash that everybody knows, and we also have a honey nut squash, which has a flowery pattern like a pumpkin, but is very delicious. They're very sweet. So far, that's it. And we have a variety of generic pumpkins as well. Big, round, Halloween type pumpkins, and it's just a fun time. So now you're ready for all your fall cooking, and if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit us at thewalksoflife.com for more pumpkin recipes.
Put those 2 squash halves on the board.
They look like a butt.
Ay, ay, ay.